My mother was 96 years old. She could hardly see, she could hardly hear. She had had to stop doing everything she loved within the last 3 months. And I knew she did not want the airway. So I said, no, do not do that. And then she began the process of what happens with whether or not she's having swelling in her brain for the fall. And basically being kept comfortable in the bed in the hospital. In my life, I've experienced two more or less anticipated deaths and two catastrophic deaths. Actually, I've anticipated more than two anticipated deaths, but in terms of fairly close family members. And it makes me very aware of what it means both for myself and for anyone I care about to know what's going on before traumatic events happen. Now, in my mom's case, that was the fall. A week before that, she had told the minister from the camp where she volunteered, yes, I'm ready to go now. And of course, he didn't tell me that until after she was dead. But that was certainly my impression before her death. Well, there are things you can do to make a difference in being able to respond, whether it's a catastrophic event, somebody's badly injured in a car accident, someone accidentally shoots themselves while hitting a gun, as happened to my birth father. Or someone is found dead in a room, as happened to my ex-son-in-law. But all those events are going to have repercussions for everybody. Ideally, the person at the center of it gets to make as many choices as possible. But when they can't make a choice, medical staff are going to come to somebody else to make a choice. Ideally, that person will be someone who has a medical power of attorney. That's an easy thing to get. You fill in a form and you get 2 witnesses. You have a medical power of attorney. This subject has come up numerous times in this meeting in the past, and we've tried to build some resources available for that. I want to talk a little about the resources we have and the resources the community has. We have a file drawer, I was happy to discover this morning, that says end of life resources. It has a big binder. It says FMA end of life resource binder. It has a smaller binder, end of life resource. Some of this was done several years ago. In the process of thinking about this forum, I did go online and check a number of those sources. Some things are a little different now. It's easy to find resources for all the documents you need. And in my mind, the documents you need are a medical power of attorney, a fiscal or a plain power of attorney, says you can do something with a car if you have to. A directive to physicians, which used to be called a living will. It's pretty much the same thing. What you want done and what you don't want done. because I worked in healthcare for many years, I knew people who would tailor that. You know, if I'm burned over 60% of my body, I want you to keep me comfortable. Don't do anything else. But that's not what the general one is usually about, whether to do resuscitation and airways. But you can include whatever you decide belongs in that power of attorney statement. Sorry, living will directed to physician statement. There are at least 2 places. The last time I did something like this at South Central yearly meeting, we had a whole stack of here are the forms you need. When I looked online, I found this resource tells you how to write one, this resource tells you how to write one or print one for them. But I didn't find anybody that said order your forms here, which is a change in how things are. So in terms of things you can do when it's not an acute situation, the first is to prepare the forms you need. The second is to talk about it. You need to know when, under what conditions do you want to be resuscitated, or what conditions do you not? Would you take a feeding tube in your nose? Would you take a feeding tube directly into your stomach? These are things that sound highly abstract when you're walking around and you're feeling fine. But it only takes one accident for them not to be abstract. And then preparation includes the financial. And that's a hard one. I have learned more about what Medicare covers and what it does not. Medicare does not cover long-term care. Medicare does not cover things that they think may not be necessary, even though the doctor just told you they are. I'm not going to touch insurance. It's something to be considered. A lawyer can help with these preparations. In my mind, there are like 3 classes of how people often die. There's a catastrophic situation, which may be over one day or may involve for a month before the person dies. There's the direct result of a disease, as my stepfather died from leukemia in 1996. And although he had treatment and he got better, and he had treatment, he got better, and he got worse, it was about 18 months. And you can contribute. I'm sure the cause on his death certificate is acute myeloid leukemia. And then there's the long goodbye, which I'm stealing from some people who use that for dementia. But I experienced that with my mom also. That over a year, she got less able to do things. Got where she could not live on her own in the camp, the Baptist camp community where she liked to live. Got where she couldn't take care of herself or dress herself. But it was a year's change. The human resources that everybody needs when dealing with it, include family, friends, whatever religious community, and my mom's help. Medical and other professional health caregivers, for example, home health. And community things beyond that. The resources, there are lots. And in this meeting, I would refer you to me or to Joanna, because we did a lot of the research that was done several years ago. And a lot of it is knowing where to look for things in the community. Caregiving is a whole difficult thing. Takes time, takes money, there's stress. I figured that I made the 1 hour trip where my mom lived on Lake Travis about 70 times in the last year she did. And sometimes that was to pick her up, drive back to Austin to a doctor's appointment, drive back. So it was 4 hours travel plus whatever else went on. Obviously, if you're doing full-time caregiving in your home, that's even more of a thing, more difficult, more stressful. Supporting both someone who is nearing the end of life and their caregivers can be many things. The first one that I found important is to have a listener. Somebody who just says, look, tell me how things are going. Or, how many trips have you made to camp this month? Providing assistance with food is a way traditionally people often help, and rides to and from medical things, or just visits. Those are all ways to help. I have a mind map here, which you probably, nobody can see, I expect it's at me. But the only other thing I have is, where do you live? And for my mom, that changed 4 times in the last year. She was living at home in her cabin at Baptist Camp. Then she went to hospital, then she went to a nursing home for skilled nursing, Medicare will pay for. She went back home, she went back to hospital, back to a nursing home. She went to assisted living, she went to a hospital, and then to a skilled nursing facility, and back to assisted living, back to hospital in 12 months. And that's very hard on a person. Very hard on all of them. Basically, the ideal progression, that's probably not even true. The usual progression of what's possible is home, senior living, independent living in a facility, assisted living, nursing home or group home, or hospital. But that doesn't work for everybody. And unfortunately, a lot of those aren't financially available to everybody. I really would like this to be more discussion than me talking. I'd be happy to answer questions at this point or listen to your stories about how things have worked or not worked for you. Yes.
So there are things that need to happen after you die.
Yes.
And some of those documents are on the good part of the line.
Yes.
So I'll give you a concrete example. Our son Marcus his biological sister died last year.
right,
And, his grandmother had been caring for her for the whole life. And, had a power of attorney and had a guardianship. But when she died, those things terminated, and Marcus was next to him. Marcus wasn't from the state.
oh,
So it took quite a bit of time before they were actually able to have a cremation burial. This had to be physically there, that's not it.
well,
So I'm just saying that's another thing to think about.
yes, it is. My mom's will was written in the late 90s, but it named my brother and I as her heirs, and it named him as the executor. He lives in Virginia. I could do the things around the cremation and stuff
Because you're a father.
because I was her daughter. But we thought, all three of us thought we had the will thing handled because she had no real property. And then, as in no house, no car, no. But what, he ended up having to fly down here and go through a thing to make him to probate that he was the executor. And basically, she had some little insurance things related to going into long-term care that were only available to the estate of Ernestine Kincaid. We thought we'd been so smart because all of our accounts had all three of our names on them. But we couldn't deposit those checks in those accounts.
So
Yes,
I guess my question, part of my question, those things that need to happen, recommend ignoring things like that, and what can dispose of the body. I think that's just something that needs to be thought out.
yes, my mother had,
I'm saying we have to fall.
yeah. My mom had also done those, which isn't on my list. Again, it's harder if it's a catastrophic event. Yes. My mom. She died in December. He was living home with my mother. Something wrong. Everything that she had, was also my mother's. But, one day, when we went to February, she was in the chair, and I went to the house. So I called my sister. Hey, Virginia, what was I do? And she goes, oh, never mind. Be there. Sister needs little nurses. That now, Gilead is the last nurse. And every day I hear stories of different situations where that person is home, or the person is supposed to be caring for them, caring for them, working on that. Just recently, whatever it is, person passed away in the night, they call the wrong funeral. Surviving to somebody's organization to know. So, sad. There are a lot of details. And the sooner, yeah, one of the things that my stepfather and my mom did for us is they both planned their own funerals. They both contacted the funeral home beforehand. And that made life so much easier, you know, it's sort of like, well, I need to call these 3 ministers. Because all 3 of them were supposed to do something. And I needed, for Dad, I needed to call the woman in Amarillo who was supposed to sing at the funeral. And she knew it, so she got the car and she did it.
So I might have missed something, Mary, did you talk about the form that we created maybe 5 or more years ago for people to fill in their information like next of kin and so on, in case we at the Friends meeting needed to contact somebody? As I recall, it was a slender, dark binder, and it had forms in it, and only a few people filled out forms, and you and I kind of gave up on being pushy about it.
No, I had not talked about that. One thing that many congregations do is try to keep a file. Is one of us falls down, in here. Or in case we're the ones, instead of your sister in Virginia, to get the call. So and so is just going to the hospital, I don't think you're gonna make it. Do we know who your next of kin is? Do we? It's something we pushed several years ago and didn't get much results, so we stopped pushing.
I looked in the library for the binder and I couldn't find it, but I did find this, and I just want to say that we do have the Memorial Garden out here. It is an option to have, plan ahead, have your name and date of birth and date of death put up there on a plaque. It is even an option to have somebody dig a hole and put your ashes down there, although there's no guarantee that if we ever move from Friends Meeting in Boston 3701 East MLK, that your ashes will come with us. The plaque probably yes, but the ashes probably no. Anyway, there is this very nice thing that has information about different people who have died and connected to our meeting. And I'm not sure who put this together, but it's
Karen Council.
Karen Council, yay, Karen Council.
Karen Council should be the group you would refer to if you wanted this information. Now that I'm going to be on Karen Council again.
Joanna, this is Sarah Swear. I ran across a folder that had those forms in it a few years back. It wasn't a binder, it was a folder in one of the filing cabinets. And I don't know if this is helpful information or too outdated, but that's my 2 cents.
Can't hear you, Sarah. Please say that again.
Sarah, can you hear us?
I'm sorry, were you asking me another question?
We ask you to repeat what you said.
What the form said on it?
Well, what you said.
Oh, I said that there was I ran across a folder that was in a filing cabinet in the library that had forms in it that are relevant to what Joanna was talking about. Joanna said it was in a binder, and I think it's in a folder. So it would be worth looking in the filing cabinet.
There is a whole drawer at the bottom of one filing cabinet called End of Life. That's where I got these 2 things. And I admit I did not go through them this morning. I just brought them as visual aids.
I would like to add something. Okay. We- there's so many things I can say, because I have a lot of experience in this area, unfortunately, or fortunately. But we, gosh, what am I trying to say? We have had memorial services here for people who died on death row at execution. And that is an option for anybody who is corresponding with and or visiting with a person who is incarcerated. Okay, that's A. Let's see if I can remember B. Oh dear. Dang. Well, just the after, what do you want to have done with your body? There's actually a form for that. Who has permission? It puts authorization for disposal of remains, right, Mary?
I think so.
Yeah, so, authorization for disposal of remains is who's in charge of your body when you die. And what are you gonna do with it? What is that person gonna do with it? And, there are choices, of course. It would be good to give this matter some thought ahead of time. And write it down. So that whoever is authorized to deal with your human bodily remains knows what you want. Because it's kind of a big decision to make if you don't know what the person who died wanted. And oh man, there's so many things swirling around. I'm sorry, I can't remember the next little bit. Other than, somebody's gonna die. That's just the way it is. We're all gonna die. Each one of us sitting here joyfully alive right now is gonna die. And we're gonna need people who are still alive to help deal with what's left of us.
Steve,
Couple of things, I remember doing that. Number one, Area Council Committee pages have a whole section about anybody planning and leads to the forms. I don't know if they're still active, but this was put together based on things that we posted a couple years ago. Updated, put out there. We get the next one, essay, president, and right. So go with that, so it's on the back end, it's also more of a very information society.
That has changed. It's now called.
Okay, I'm just saying, there's a section where it's forms. Words are approved.
Thank you.
The other thing is, kind of records, every one of us should have a folder, right, a big folder that says end of life. Where you put your card out, the deed to your house, copy of your will, bank statements, and directives such as descriptions of what we would like to have in later interest of your home, have that all in one place, so people don't have to go. Make sure children or your spouse or your others know where that folder is and know what's.
a couple of years ago, Joanna and I went to a program done by Hospice Austin about getting your forms together. And one of the things I thought was really smart was it said, do not necessarily put the person who's likely to be riding beside you in the car as your agent. Which made excellent sense.
Oh, I remembered what I forgot. Lifetime Learning Institute, which is kind of for seniors, by seniors. It's you pay $30 to take a DB class, offers a class on a regular basis that is about end of life matters, and it's excellent, just excellent, and it concludes with filling out all the forms. We have in the past had events where we fill out forms and there is somebody there who can notarize whatever needs to be notarized. Or we can witness for each other the things that don't need to be notarized, but we haven't done that for a long time. So if there's interest, might we do it again?
That class you mentioned, I guess led by Nancy Walker, and it's coming up soon, so that it would be a good opportunity to take that. There's a whole list of resources that Nancy shared with an aging group that.
Is this an online class or is it?
It's on plan for us to achieve us.
Is it a scheduled thing like meets on Tuesdays or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I was thinking we might have a group.
if you look at the Lifetime Learning Institute, you have to scroll down to the one that Nancy teaches. I forget the name of those, I looked it up. But there's a whole lot of resources that she shared with this aging with Joe and Matt Harley. Over the time to basically something updated with this. Canvas is no longer Canvas now.
Funeral Consumer Alliance of Central Texas, and I sent information to Steve and to Erica and to Mary.
That's a really good resource. She always over for help.
The other thing I want to talk about is hospice. Both of us haven't had experience with hospice and don't understand what it is and what it isn't. And there are a number of them in Austin, and we're going to have experience with this. Anyhow, some of them are non-profits. The basic idea of hospice is that when someone has received a diagnosis that they had less than 6 months to live, under Medicare, they are eligible for hospice period. And at that point, hospice organization will begin to take care of the person who is on stage living. And they can provide a lot of different kinds of services, including counseling, pastoral, nursing, facilities. My experience with my wife was she was able to spend her last 6 weeks at home in other hospice. So she need to lucky she would not speak, she would be there for the private hospice. But you know, they were able to provide other things like a wheelchair. Whatever you need, they will provide with no charges. Once you're on hospice, through Medicare, everything is done from hospice. So if you needed to see a doctor, hospice had to allow it. So that's important to know, not with any further treatment, help with curing or dealing with side effects of whatever you're going to go.
But they will recommend short-term occupational therapy or physical therapy.
Yes. Yeah. Like, you know, relates and it's a very, they will provide counseling to the family members who are in hospice. They will also provide you with yes. So, yes, what kind of grant they should be. So, my experience is we see the people and they also provide brief counseling and therapy. Hospice is very absolutely they also can provide hospice and resident facilities for people who can't be at home and be able to facilities very caring and without pets. Good to know that when someone says you in the hospital, they don't have a sure hospice. Oh no.
Yes, my mom was in hospice for like the last 2 days of her life.
And in Austin, hospice is a nonprofit, and Wesleyan, which is actually in Georgetown, which provides services throughout the area, is also a nonprofit. And some of the folks, Nancy and Vermont, like the last thing does end of life activities. said that generally, if you do the nonprofit, there's a little more chance they'll be providing services for the client rather than concerned about profit.
And even when you're hospital. Such a house. For 20 years, usually down and visiting various patients and learning hospitals. Spend an hour with them to chat. I got hospital. For 20 years. Does anybody have questions the rest of us might be able to help with?
I actually have a question about the lawyers. We used to have a lawyer at Ingram here in, Chester, where he used to sit. And he's not part of our meeting anymore. Do people know lawyers that they would recommend to others who have not yet made a will or filled out all these forms?
I used a lawyer, first, I went online and went through the finding of rules things, right? So that when I went to see this lawyer, I read through it. The things that I learned about, this is the way I handle things. Taking very good price, collaborative episodes, only $200. We pretty expensive, we saw what the terms expenses they offer, will that in essence of the town. And one of the things I learned from the term that was very valuable was that in Texas, if you own a piece of real estate, you can have your children, others, that you put on the title. Contingent on your debt, so that part doesn't matter. Those who probate and be built up. So exactly what we fill out the form. The garage is send it into the county clerk, and they will update the deed. Your 401k or IRA also. Necessarily. Insurance will not be. So those are things, when you think about whatever change lessons you have, you name your beneficiaries appropriately. Right, you make it complicated. You say, well, that's the 25% goes to this person, 30%, and then the final 25% among my friend. Make it complicated to speak to insurance policy.
Now,
Yeah, just my youngest brother died about 10 years before it. And he had everything figured out. Yeah, everything figured out. So quite a lot of state he had. And none of that was
wow,
still not appropriate. I was executor and appropriate, but they say wasn't. Constantly needed available to his children. There's not a way to do this.
I'm not sure. I mean, our lawyers, Bill and I had all that stuff there a few years ago. As far as bank accounts and stuff. Our lawyer encouraged us to talk to our bank to see about something like that. We actually have our account set up like right survival or something like that. And so you could in some cases, you can actually put your assets, like a bank account, in the name of someone else. So that upon your demise, you know, I'm sitting on all we have to do is show death certificate. But I think, I don't know, I think that would go through the probate item, that because we have a right of survival. And even though that they will do most of it. So that's another thing that you can really do is talk to your bank and see, you know, what happens when I die. If I put someone on here, you know, as a right to survive, do you release the funds to that person immediately, or does it have to go through the program? So that's good.
In my mom's case, we had joint accounts, and my brother and I had written checks over them as we agreed.
Yeah, but we may not want to necessarily have to their hand, but you may want to facilitate the transfer of the funds in their account to a designated individual upon their death. So, I mean, that would be a good thing, to check with the banking institution to say, you know, if I die, what happens?
It's a very good question.
There's additional signatures to. Go ahead.
On Saturday, this last week, I got a notice in my Facebook account that it was Jude Pillar's birthday. That means that Jude, who died, I think at least 5 years ago, or 6 or 7, still has a Facebook account. And so there's this whole thing of digital,
Right.
your digital stuff. Somebody has to be able to turn it off.
I've been creeped out by invitations to friend, to get friends.
So in your red folder, you include a spreadsheet or a copy that has every user ID password you have. Including Facebook and Google, there's your successors are the access to that copy. And one of the big Facebook is has on my page, you can accept in advance who is controlling my account drive. And they can sort of use the time next to family too. That's a more. So they do that provision. In space. They need to claim for your future response. Or it's gonna hang around somebody.
Pretend they're sober. Such has been dead for years.
Email has a function that if your account is not used for 6 months, then you can designate someone that has access to it, so that if you have to dial it, and it just not happening, that somebody will be accessing to whatever.
We have about 5 minutes. What else would you want people to know about this stuff?
I would really encourage everybody to. Talk and say, I'm going to be very good. I'm going to be reading whatever you want. Because if you don't know that in advance.
We have some interesting information that I think is in here, or that I definitely have, about things like green burials and be very good and become a tree. And the and snow.
They do every couple of years, they survey on people.
Is Neptune Society related?
Right.
What else? What would you want to be sure people know?
There is a group that out past the airport has the natural burial ground where you do your own, dig your own burial.
Eloise Woods.
Yeah,
Eloise Woods, it still exists, and there's a new one coming, another green burial place. And there's Austin Natural Funerals that specializes in natural funerals, no embalming, etc. I should add it.
Yeah, put those on the list, yeah.
Um, one of the things that's experienced yesterday. Getting, it's not getting all the music you like to listen to, put it on and have that play with the Jesus. That's sort of awesome. That. And then provide me with the end, come go to May.
Anything else from our Zoom colleagues?
Steve, the Threshold Choir, which used to meet here and may in the future meet here, does sing to people at Christopher House, which is Hospice Austin's residential facility, on a weekly basis, and will go to other places to sing to anybody who wishes to be sung to, who is under hospice care. It doesn't have to be under Hospice Austin care. And there's also a group called Swan Song, which will provide your favorite music live towards the end of your life if you're under hospice care.
Just about out of time, but again, the invitation is there, if any of y'all want to join in, have comments to make. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Mary.